financial freedom they do require through financial literacy that is going to empower them. And once they're empowered, we believe we shall be able to build better lives together.
Given the knowledge that you have today about personal finance, if you had that knowledge before you started working, how different do you think your life will have been today? And given that you've learned something, what is it that you have done or are you doing to ensure that your children gain that knowledge before they start working? Money is a commodity that you need for the rest of your life. You can't run away from that. So the fact that now it's something you're going to use for the rest of your life, then naturally managing it becomes a life skill. What is your value per minute? The mind does not know the age. It cannot differentiate a child or a grown-up. So even those who are old understand that this is a changing moment for you. An asset is anything that puts money in your pocket. Liabilities is the opposite of asset. Anything that removes money from your pocket
It's a liability.
is a liability. Your children, are they assets or liabilities?
Well, my own children.
You know, kids will always be asking for things, whether it's school fees and all those things. So you can start planning early enough. But if you block your mind and no, how can you call children liabilities? You're shying away, you're running away from the reality of what is.
The hard truth.
So what happens is a lot of parents get hit. Oh, my child is 3 years supposed to go to school. Now they start knocking at the circle. Can I take some loan for school fees?
What we normally do is that we save after taking care of all the expenses. But we should first save, then whatever now is left is what now
is what we'll use to
meet now the other obligations.
Yes.
So that now we change that narrative. Instead of saving what is left, we now commit what is left after saving.
After saving.
Yes.
Emancipate yourself
from mental
mental slavery.
Yes.
None but ourselves
Can free
our what? So what you want to do is you want to start training your brain, your mind, your subconscious. The moment I receive money like this, the first thing I need to do is what?
You save.
Save.
Those people who are about to retire and those who have retired, these are not people who can afford to take risks. As you're aging, in terms of risk, it starts narrowing down like this. So this is where now we're talking about retirement. You cannot afford now to play around with what you have. But now these years behind here, take as much risk as you want.
How many, from what age to what age should I be a high risk taker?
So basically, you're allowed to play around with until you're around 25. Because around that time is when people start thinking of planning for families and things like those ones. So before you settle down, you're allowed to take all the risks you can. When the risk is high, you expect high returns. When the risk is low, you expect low returns. So the people who are about to retire, or those who've retired, we say, don't go for risky things. So we tell your risk appetite needs to come down. And by that, it means your returns are also going to go down. But it's better you make small returns over time and build up than actually take a high risk or gamble on something and you end up missing the whole of this.
The key thing is we retire into. That's the most important message.
We retire into.
Yes, into something.
Okay.
Yes.
It's not just retire and then start something.
Yes.
We retire into.
We start now, such that if you're retiring within the next 5 years, you'll be retiring into your business. Yes.
Please remember you're a creator. So for today's topic, create your dream, your goal, and have a number. Retirement has nothing to do with age, it's a number. So once you define that number, work backwards, you're not going to be distracted from anything around that. And then just to wrap up, like so far what we've covered, I want to repeat a quote that I started with in the first lesson where I said, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Say that again.
When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Change.
We want to give our members the financial freedom they do require through financial literacy that is going to empower them. And once they're empowered, we believe we shall be able to build better lives together.
Given the knowledge that you have today about personal finance, if you had that knowledge before you started working, how different do you think your life will have been today? And given that you've learned something, what is it that you have done or are you doing to ensure that your children gain that knowledge before they start working? Money is a commodity.
Good evening. Every time we do this show, Metro Business Cafe, we keep on referring to mindset. And every time Andrew talks about mindset, I'm reminded of a verse that says, "Be transformed by the renewal of your mind." And it has really, really changed and made me start seeing life from a very different perspective, and more so, something called wealth creation. My name is Michael Njenga. Welcome. This is Metro Business Cafe, and this is our 9th live stream where we're discussing matters changing our mindsets on how we build our wealth. Remember, we're not building riches, we are building wealth. It's mindset, it's changing so many things. Sometimes it will be even changing friendships and places, and I'm sure Andrew will be giving us that tonight. But to kick us off this evening, remember, if you'd like to talk to us, our number is 0790-000-333. 0790-000-333 is our SMS line. You can also use everywhere. We are live on Facebook, we're live on Twitter, we are live on YouTube. I'm sure for those of you who are talking to us tonight, I can see some of you have already logged in. I'll be taking your points in just a while. Remember, you'd like to talk to us on to send us any comment, 0790-000-333, 0790-000-333 is our SMS line. You can use the same number to send us your WhatsApp. Cyrus Kariabwene, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Karibu sana. Good to have you again here on the show tonight.
Thank you, thank you.
Welcome. How's been your week been? It's been a crazy times when we're telling people, please, let's be on the lookout. COVID is here with us. Let's be on the lookout. Let's do anything and everything that we can to just stay away from this deadly virus. It's killing people. I'm telling you, every day we are like in hundreds of WhatsApp groups, you know, where people are just talking about their loved ones who have died. But anywho, say hi.
Thank you. Good evening, Metro Cafe members. I'm very appreciative of this evening. It's been a very good journey, right from the time that we started talking mindset.
Yes.
Transformation of the mind.
Yes.
It's been very encouraging, and I think it's been a good journey for us, and we continue to learn. I believe that today, as we head towards now having solutions to the various mindset things, to the cash flowing solutions, I believe that our members and everyone else who is viewing us out there will be very happy with the kind of solutions that we've developed for them. Otherwise, as Mike says, let's take care of ourselves.
We have to.
Let's take care of ourselves. It's very serious out there. Asanteni sana.
Karibu.
Yeah.
Karibu. I remember last time when we were with you on the show and we were told that where you are, if you do not learn where you are, if you do not learn that lesson, you'll be there until you learn it. I
Yes.
remember you giving us
The Israelites.
the Israelite story. Good to have you on the show.
Thank
and
you,
I'm
Mike.
sure we'll also be recapping some of the things tonight, where we have come from, all the 8 episodes until today. We have the 9th episode. We'll be doing a little bit of recap. And more so tonight, we'll be dealing with mindset. How do we change our mindset? What do we do to change our mindset? So that we can start thinking wealth creation. We can start thinking not chasing the cat, but attracting the cat. We have Andrew Kibe. Good evening and welcome.
Thank you so much, Mike. As usual, it's always a pleasure to be here speaking to you on the 9th episode. And I look forward, like I told you last time, I've received a name called Mindset. And I'm very proud of it because that tells me it's really making a big difference outside there. So I look forward to adding more.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's something you told us last time. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And everybody was like, whoa, I wish we had a little bit more time where Andrew would expound on this. Just as we kick off tonight, I know as we start rethinking about changing our minds and our mindset, that particular moment you took us to a place where everybody wanted to, first of all, let this bubble open up. When you change, please give it to us again and expound to us more on it.
Okay. So, there's just so much to talk about the mind, and actually to expand on that quote. And I was quite happy when I was walking out and everyone kept telling me, wow, what was that? Everyone was just blown away by it. And it reminded me even the first time I heard about it. And it really shifted my mind completely. But given everything we've talked about, I'd like to start off by starting with 2 quotes. And then I'm going to bring this third one and I'll show you the connection between them. I believe that will be able to open up more on what that quote is trying to teach us. So the first one, let's go back to the book of Hosea 4:6. And the scripture is very clear. It tells us, my people perish due to lack of knowledge. I think that's one of the strongest verses that people should really pay attention to. Because from the experience I've had so far, what that verse is telling me is, the reason why you're in pain, the reason why you go through suffering and things like those ones, it's because you lack knowledge. Okay? And if that is the reason, then I should be very proactive to try and look for that knowledge, because I know that's where the power really is. Okay? So in short, what the Bible is telling us is there's so much power in knowledge. And not just knowledge, but the right knowledge.
Right knowledge.
Exactly. Because there can be false knowledge that is created to divert you from something so that someone else gains. And we see this across the world. When people stand and kujeni niwapatie unga, you eat today, tomorrow what happens? So the right knowledge will be teaching someone how to fish.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So that's just a quick example that I can think about. So that is so powerful to me that it brings the thirst of me wanting to learn more. Now the problem with our country, or Africa in general, is we have created a system that makes children hate school because of certain things that children have to go through in school. If we can tweak it for them to see the value out of that, then you're going to implement automatically people having that thirst. How do you explain people love reading novels, but they hate chemistry?
Yeah.
It's a book with words. Okay?
Yes.
So it tells you, again, I go back to the mindset. There's something that was triggered to them. I mean, look at all kids when they're starting school in kindergarten. They're so excited. All right? My daughter started yesterday.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I didn't know how I was going to react to it. Of course, she cried when I was leaving because I'm leaving her with the face full of strangers. But the moment I walked away, that was it.
She started adopting.
She started adopting to that.
Yes.
She couldn't sleep even at night. She was looking forward to school today. So what happens? By the time she's in class 5, they don't want school. And we sit here as elders and we blame them. Okay? That's why we need to shift our mind completely. Why are these kids coming in so excited about school, then all of a sudden they don't want, it's as if they're running away from it. The problem is not the kids. We have to do something. You know, at least things have really changed compared to us, you know. For me, I knew going to school, lazima ningepigwa mara 4 per day.
Yeah,
even without doing anything, you know.
guaranteed.
So it felt like I'm going to a prison. You don't even see the value.
The only teacher who never came with a cane was the CRE teacher.
Okay? So knowledge is very powerful, and that's why I was talking about understanding that formula. Because when it comes to money, we think we know about it. We think we know how to build wealth. We think we know everything. You know, I'm currently doing something with Kenyatta University, and I'm doing it for free for the students who wish to attend. But my class has never gone beyond 15 students.
They don't come. They don't attend.
They know about money according to them.
My goodness.
Okay?
Yes.
It really speaks about the culture. People believe they know it all. The problem is they don't understand the mindset. They believe they know, but the knowledge they have is not the right one. Else people will not be going through the kind of suffering they're going through. All right? So once you come up out of that quote, I move to the second one. And the second one is the one that talked about Albert Einstein, where he defined insanity as continue doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results.
Yes.
I mean, that thing, you just sit back and watch. Even just go to town today, CBD, and just watch people. And usimame mali uangalie vijuko building. And just point out and see what's going to happen.
A crowd will gather.
Exactly. Then you start hearing stories. Kuna mtu ataka kuruka, kuna mtu ataka kufanya nini. We are reactors. We are not proactive. All right? It's because we also don't understand how programmed our minds are. And remember, your mind is a magnet.
Yes.
It doesn't care whether you're programmed or not. Whatever is stored there, it does what?
It grabs.
Exactly. All right? So, having understood that second one, now I bring the third one which you're talking about. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. All right? Now, I want to combine this third one and the second one. When it says, when you change the way you look at things, what does Albert tells us? If you continue doing the same thing
Over and over.
what will happen?
It's insanity. Because you're expecting different results. It's insanity.
Aha. Now the third one is telling you, if you change the way you do what?
Look at things.
It's basically telling you change the way you do things. So if you change the way you're doing things, the things you look at will do what?
Will automatically change.
Yeah, so place that now into Albert and see. If you change how you approach things, the results will be different from what you're so used to. So it's just the same thing as Albert is telling us. It's only that they came up with a clever way of playing with words. All right? If I choose to see this cup as a cup, it will always remain as a cup. It's just like the way they say this, is it half full or is it?
Quarter full or is it quarter empty?
And that's the power of your mind. It's you to determine how you want to see it. So the way you look at it and the way someone else look at it, they can have different interpretation. And that's why I said you're a creator. So what makes sense is look at it in such a way that it's adding value to your life. So when it comes to wealth, richness and all that, everyone is always talking about hakuna, maisha ni ngumu, maisha ni nini. Those are the talks we're having in our mind. And we expect things will change. Those are the thoughts we are storing here.
We don't have hakuna. We're not attracting anything.
What are you storing in the mind? Si hakuna?
You're attracting hakuna.
Yes.
Yes. Si kuna.
Hakuna.
Hakuna, that is what you're attracting. So you'll never get it.
And I will come back to the mind being a magnet,
Yeah.
and the way it attracts. And again, I would want us to dive into, because after this, I went and started rereading this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah.
And then I went ahead and read the book, Who Moved My Cheese?
Yeah.
And it, because when we spoke about mindset, these are books we've read earlier, way back in life. But sometimes you need to reread it again to understand exactly what's happening. So we'll come back. Today I want to deal with children, because you said, not necessarily children, but young people. You said you're doing, you're training people for free at the university.
Yes.
But you only have a handful
Yes.
of students coming for the lectures.
Yes.
And I know we keep on saying, oh, we have a piggy bank, or we have a kids account, or we have this, or we have all these very attractive children things that go on, especially like in the circle, Metropolitan National Circle. So how do you now bring in the parent, not just coming in for this kids account, but involving the child from the word go? How do you connect it? How do you bring it together? How do you let the parent know that no, when you're coming to open, for this account, when you're just about to open this account, don't come alone. As much as you're the guardian, bring the child along, tag the child along. Take us through it.
Hey, thanks, Mike, for that. And some very good insights from Mr. Kibe.
Yes.
Because what has come into my mind when he talked about value is that for everything that you do in this world, and why education maybe is not a favorite thing for many, is because you are not shown what's in it for you. Is value and what's in it for you. Whenever you are not shown the value and what's in it for you, then you just do something for the sake of it. And not just for the sake of it, but equally, you might decide not to do it. So that's why there's been a challenge in terms of getting our kids to school, because we've not told them what's in it for them as they go to school. So the kid cried, but after crying, he familiarizes with the environment. They get used to the other kids who are equally now aimless in terms of they don't know what's in it for them as they go to school.
Yes.
So what happens at the end of the day? We bring up people who do not have focus, who are not well guided. So even as we think about kids and the way, I think every other time as you're employed, you get some insurance people to come for you, some other people to come and invest into shamba na nini, all those things. As you're investing in those things, as you're thinking about those things, what's in it for you? I'm now thinking about my kid, and there are so many accounts. Like you come to Metropolitan, what we did is we designed something so that we are not just taking care of those people who are members directly, but equally we are looking at it holistically. Last time I talked about a buffet of products, or more or less a bouquet. As you come to pick your bouquet in terms of this flower, I want a yellow flower right now, which is the kids account. Am I just having this account without a goal? When Bona Andrew talked about a goal, is that am I just opening an account for a kid for the sake of it? Or do I have some, what they call maono, a goal that I'm set there to do, so that I'm telling this kid, I've opened for you an account, and for every other shilling that you'll be getting, this is where you'll be saving. I know there are people who've gone a notch higher, whereby they even give some duties or roles to the kids, and they tell them, it's like I've employed you, so every other time that you do this role, even in the old days, people used to go and pick coffee.
Yes.
I know you might be a culprit.
Yes.
And definitely, this is what you earn at the end of the day. But who trains you as to how you're supposed to use that money? Is it just a matter of spending? So that as you go with a kid for some shopping, all that they know is ni kutoa tu. Every other time is just using. But for that account that you've opened for that kid, are you able to tell the kid and walk the journey with the kid and tell them that we've opened this account, this is a piggy bank, this is what you'll be doing. You can even take this money as you bring them to our banking halls. You are telling them, this is where you go. You'll go to a teller, and the teller will start counting the coins. The kid has his account, so that as they deposit the money into the account, it is them, and they own that process. And they're always proud to come back and do the banking.
It's a process.
It's a
You're
process.
training them. It's a process.
And they have a goal. They would want to do something with the money. You didn't just open that account for the sake of it. You're telling them that December, there's this holiday, or there's this bag that I want to buy for you. There's this geometrical set that I would want to buy for you. There's this book that I would want to buy for you. There's this Bible. People forget about the Bible.
Yes.
You want an advanced version that includes every other book. That goal and walking the journey together. And that is a kind of education that as Metropolitan, we are able to give the kids plus the parents so that we walk this journey together. Don't just do something for the sake of it. See the value and show the kid, or even yourself, ask yourself, what's in it for me as I do whatever that I'm doing? Yes,
So
that's a kind of journey.
it's not just doing these things aimlessly, that we are saying this is a school fund account, but your child has got no idea what that school fund account is happening.
In fact, now to throw you back to a topic of goals and goal settings.
Yes.
How many neighbors did we have?
We had 3 neighbors.
So think about, we said which neighbor we are sure is going to arrive somewhere. Okay?
Yes.
Now, when you say you're opening an account, what neighbor are you? You're 2. It's just, okay, I've opened an account. And you'll be surprised, just to show you how powerful the mind is and how we have so many wrong programs without realizing. I approach so many parents and I tell them, I teach children about these things, and they tell me, iko tu sawa, pia mimi namfunzaga nilimfungulia account. Okay?
Yes.
Umemfungulia account sawa. Huyo mtoto anajua kuna account. At the best, maybe yes, I have account in whatever. Okay, then what happens? So you keep depositing money there, but you're not involving the child. And I said from the word go, when you do not involve your children in learning these things, the society takes up that responsibility. And the fact that now you've heard me say that, you've made the decision for the society to do that work for you. You know? Because ignoring is a decision, all right? So what happens is, you keep saving, and the child knows, I have an account somewhere that is earning money with time. So years go by, maybe after 18 years. That time now, napata documents za kuweza access the account. What do you expect when that child goes to that account? What does he know about money? How does opening your child account alone helps this kid? Okay? So I take you back to Proverbs 22:6.
Yes.
It says something in the lines of, teach or show the child the way to go. And as adults, they'll never depart away from.
Train up a child on the ways that they should go.
Exactly.
And they will not depart from them when...
Exactly, the adults. So what are you teaching your child by just saving? You're teaching them something, it's just that you're not aware of it. Whatever it is that you're teaching is happening through the society. What is the society teaching the children? Tumia, spend. So that's all this child is being exposed to as you're saving up. So skulu utampatia account akichukua tu hivi, it will just be spending.
To be spend.
What else does the child know? According to what the Bible is telling us.
I want us to come to this thing of rich dad, poor dad.
Like now.
We have a lot of those kids, yes.
Yes. I want to give a very practical example based on what Bwana Cyrus has talked about. My daughter is 3.5. Okay? She can count up to 60 comfortably. People meet her and they're like, this is a genius. She talks certain things. She knows what an asset is right now. She knows what a liability is. And people get shocked. And I tell them, no, let's go back to the Bible. Show the child
The way.
you, what are you doing? You're just sitting there admiring what's happening. Wewe unafanya nini wako? You're just waiting for them to go to school to take up their responsibility. Remember, when you understand our education system, you'll see some weaknesses, and it's upon you to take up that responsibility and enhance it with all the values that are coming out of the school. So that now you bring out a child who's well-rounded. So what we do at home, I create a playful thing that I do with her. And I tell her, Mom, it's time to earn some money. And when she hears that, she'll go like, yeah. And even me, I jump with her. All right? So I go take some warm water. It's time to wash the house. So as we're washing, I'm playing with her. So it's something fun. She's enjoying what she's doing. When we finish, I pick coins. So I have a bigger bank and a small one. Then I tell her, let's count. Count yours. So she goes 1, 2, 3. In that exercise, I'm also teaching her to remember how to count. So she puts the money in hers and I put mine. Now when I'm going to the shop and she wants to come with me, I tell her, okay, you're forgetting something. So she runs and gets a piggy bank. We go to the shop. I know once we're there, she'll want to ask for something. So I tell her, you pick whatever you want to, you have your money.
That's your money.
That's your money.
You can buy whatever you want to
Yes.
with your money.
So we go to the cashier, and I tell the cashier, take the whole coins, I'll come back for them. Sasa tuwashajua, I don't tell them. Then I pay through M-Pesa. But I make it look like they're scanning for her and removing the money and giving her the receipt.
So she knows the value of money, one, to begin with.
Now let's go to the lessons that
Lessons
are coming out of
learned.
that. Exactly.
Yes.
So the first one is what? Money is earned, not given.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of any adult who's given money? Sisi wote tunafanya kazi.
Work for it.
Let's go back to the Bible. Teach a child what?
The ways they should.
Exactly.
Yes.
And as adults, they're not going
They
to.
will not depart from them.
Now think about how us we were raised. There's no one else to show us. Kwa jua fanya kuwa mkubwa, pata kazi, mwanze kuana. So imagine the difference just that alone is going to make on my daughter if we proceed on like that. Secondly, there are certain things I do tukifika supermarket. I can tell that guy, leo mwambie pesa itoshi, namrudishia. And she causes tantrums and I tell her, your money is not enough, me I don't have enough money. And we go home, she goes in a half. So next time I tell her, let's earn more so that you're able to afford whatever it is. So I keep mixing that. I'm starting to teach her lesson number 2, kuna saa inakuwaga na kuna saa inakosa. And that's something that is so big that our children miss. Especially children who are brought up in a wealthy family. Wanapeaga. So most parents think just providing everything for their children, they're helping them out of love. The truth of the matter is you're starting to spoil them because the real world does not work like that. Okay?
Yes.
Third, I'm starting to teach her to save. And when you're saving, it's so clear you're saving towards buying something in the supermarket, but now I've started calling them assets and liabilities. So you can see I'm starting to introduce these words from a very young age. And someone will come and tell me, how is this possible you're teaching these kids? These are complex things. And I tell them, what's the difference between a name, Andrew, and assets? They're just letters that are put together to form a word. So what makes you think a child is not going to understand what an asset is, but they'll know what Andrew is? They're just words. It's your mind that has been programmed to believe assets are for people with finance. And that's where we go wrong. We go back to the first quote. My people perish due to... So even end up fearing the right knowledge, and it's right in front of us. So when you do that for 1 year, I'm going to open up an account now to the circle. Now I tell her, Instead of keeping this money here, it's time, come I show you, I'll be taking them. So this is called a circle. I start introducing those terms. This is called a bank. This is called investments. And I keep building that and that and that.
So, when you talk about rich dad, poor dad, he's a young man or a young person,
Yeah.
whose the father has it all.
Yeah.
So this kid, when they want breakfast is on the table. You know, when they want to wear good clothes are there.
Yep.
They are well cleaned, well ironed. You know, everything is moving on well for them.
Yep.
Then, you know, anytime they want to go for a holiday, holidays are there. In fact, they're told go for holiday because mommy and daddy have some other things to do.
Yeah.
So take them out for holiday.
Yep.
How then do we change this mentality, the poor dad, rich dad mentality with our children? Because we are seeing a lot of cases where the rich in this country, the wealthy in this country, once they die, their wealth is blown up in a day. And I know of a certain family in Nakuru, when the father died, when he was buried, because he had already said that in his will, that, you know what, when I die, I want my money to take a certain period of time. I think it was 3 years. Then after that, now you can start distributing money to so and so, so and so, so and so, so and so.
Yeah.
And within those 3 years, the sales representatives of very famous car dealers in this country were standing at a certain bank outside Nakuru town. And these kids just bought cars. Some didn't know what to do with the cars.
Yeah.
The father has never allowed them to drive. You know, such kind of things.
Exactly.
The rich dad, poor dad mentality.
Yeah.
For a parent who's watching us tonight,
Yes.
they think they're doing a child a favor.
Yeah.
You know, that mommy, daddy, you know, all these names that we call them, we take them to good schools. You know, they're hanging out with good buddies.
Yeah.
You're making sure that once they throw tantrums at a supermarket, you have money to buy whatever they want.
Yeah.
The rich dad, poor dad mentality, how do we start now changing it and molding our own kids to become responsible?
Yes. Now I go back again to the same quotes that I started with. I'll keep going back there until it gets home. Okay?
Yes.
Right knowledge. So the way our parents raised us, or how most adults feel or think, they think that's the right way to do it. But that's the wrong knowledge. That's why I talked about the right knowledge. All right? Then secondly, we go to Proverbs, the one I just talked about, 22:6. Teach the child the way to go. So you have to be very careful how you're molding this child. And remember, any part you're not participating as a parent, you're basically handing over that responsibility to the society. If you want to stick with the idea that it's wrong to introduce them to the concepts of money and investments and things like those on, fair enough, you've made the decision. And the decision is what? Society, nifanyeni kazi.
Do this for me to provide.
That is the plain truth, and you're not going to run away from it. That is why it comes to it boils down to your example. So the elder, babao, unfortunately, ameenda. What do they know? Society imewafunza nini? Spending. So when the money is available, don't be surprised. And I come back and, you know, it's really time we really question ourselves and some of these beliefs we've been, you know, brought up with. I go back and give simple example. Look at the Kenyan Indians. Do you see them splashing on their children the way we do? Then look at the outcome. You know, I keep saying all our prayers are answered. The question is who listens?
All prayers are answered.
All prayers are answered.
But the question is who is listening to those prayers?
There's no you're going to convince me ati leo atakwambia Mike, wewe ngojea kidogo. Andrew, leo acha you I know God is just. I can feel it in every part of me. And He stands by everyone. So hakuna vile atapatia moja ati, you know, a milestone ahead of the other. And that breaks the element of, you know, loving us equally. So let's stop blaming other things other than ourselves. And the reason why these things are happening is because you're not listening to the answers coming through. And there are four best ways of how to listen to those answers. The first one is through feelings. If you want to understand what's true for you in your life, look at how you feel about it. Just having that negative thought is an answer by itself. How many times have you found yourself saying, na nilikuwa na feeling nisifanye hivyo, sijui mbona sikasikiza. The second,
it's down within you, it can tell you.
Yes. The problem is as you grow up, the mind gets corrupt to think away from what the soul is up to. So it becomes different to actually pinpoint, are these feelings coming from the inner soul of me or data coming from another source? That's why kids, atakata mtu na ushindwe ni kwa nini na mjui, that kid's mind has not developed. So the only thing they're using is feeling. That's why I trust everything my daughter tells me, because I know it's coming from a very genuine place. Then the second one are things like thoughts, deja vus, dreams. If you take time just to think about those things, you'll realize that actually it's like there's a force that is always trying to tell me something. Then the third one is experience. If we learned from just experience peke yake, this world will automatically change today. Think about the amount of money nations spend on army. So if we decide today no more fighting, because fighting has never resulted in any peace anyway.
So we stop fighting.
So if all humans just say no more fighting, do you need an army?
No.
Think about how much US spends just on army. If that money is given in the entire world, kuna mtu atakufa njaa. But we don't listen to our experiences. And the reason why the consequences of us not listening to experiences, we keep recurring it. Nilikwambia utatoka hapo mpaka siku utasikia.
So you have to relieve that.
You'll keep, it's your choice. If you don't want to listen, uendelea kukaa hapo. That's what I'm saying. If we do not change our mindset as Africans or Kenyans and we start doing something about our kids, the trend will continue. And God has shown us experience ya waindi kando yetu. Why are we not learning from that? Why are we still sticking with something we can see is not working?
Insanity. Insanity. My goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, you cannot hear this anywhere else. It's only on Metro Business Cafe. Remember, we're here every Thursday evening from 7 to 9 p.m. And I'm very grateful to all of you who are sending us your questions and your comments. Tonight, our number is 0790-000-333. 0790-000-333 is our SMS line. You can also use the same number to send us your WhatsApp. WhatsApp us, talk to us, tell us what you're thinking. Ask any question. We have the experts here tonight, and they will be answering all the questions that we have. We're just going through the whole issue of mindset, changing our mindset. And the reason why I'm loving this is because one of the biggest mindset I had when I joined the circle, when I joined Metropolitan National Circle, the biggest, my first circles way back, is that I have to put in some cash, because one day I'll get married, and I kept telling myself I don't want all these stories of doing pre-weddings or buy a handkerchief, buy a feather, buy a what, that was my goal, goal settings, and then after a while, I realized, by the way, the fiancé is not coming, so I better as well start taking this money and getting loans. So again, my goals changed, and I started seeing how I can take loans over and over and over and over and over. When we come to you, you're the deputy CEO, and when people come to you, and I know you're very much involved into bringing in new members and bringing in new customers, what are some of the things you take your customers through as a circle?
Thank you for that. And I think I equally had something for Mr. Andrew,
Yes.
when he talked about insanity. Same story that we've been talking about. You know, when you revolve just there, same story of the Israelites. A journey of a number of days, taking so many years.
40 years.
Because you're just there. Insanity.
40 years. It's like
Insanity.
we're going 1 kilometer a day.
So that story actually excites me a lot. So I think if I may go direct equally to some of the things that equally touched just before I go to the topic that you've just talked about, is that I think one of the things that has been very critical in Metropolitan National Circle is the kind of education that we give, especially when you talk about the deceased people. You know, definitely as you join as a member, we ask you to nominate people who, in case of a worst case scenario, as you leave this world, you're able to very well instruct us. Unlike other institutions whereby you have to go to maybe the DC and the like, as you declare your interests,
Yes.
and you can always change whenever you want when joining. So one of the things that we've been taking people through is that for those who are left, because when you're joining, you'll say that my nominee is number 1, maybe my wife. Number 2, you'll talk about your kid. Number 3, you talk about your kid number 2, number 3, and the like. And what we take people through is to tell them, for you who are deceased, yes, this was a journey for the other person who was there, and you can equally make your journey a bit much better, and you make it very lousy in terms of this is the match that you've been left with. And you know what we actually do is that we give the beneficiaries a multiplier of the deposit that you had. So if you had saved some 500,000, for example, 1 million will be there for you. And that is now for you people. And what does that mean? That is something that if you're given the education that Andrew was talking about in terms of now telling them to save and the like. Those are among the new members that we've been having in the circle. Because people now see the value of being in the circle. Because you would actually want your people equally, the ones that you leave, being a son of whoever left you with the cash, to equally enjoy the same. So it's more or less like some planning that you've done. So as I go to your topic right now, in terms of how do we take people, and I think I'll take a case example of yesterday when one of the employers who would want his employees to join the circle was asking about how will my people enjoy loans after how long, and I took him through the journey. Because you see, your employees, yes, would want so much, but it is not for you to decide where they want to go. Each has his own goal. So at first, we are not negotiating about the loans. We are talking about what's the benefits that your employees would want. So the first thing is we would want to have an opportunity to talk to your employees so that we can hear about their aspirations. Yes, they are coming to join the circle. You see, even for the people who formed the circles and the cooperative movement back in the 60s and 70s.
Yes.
Those people had their own aspirations and ambitions. So they came together just to make their resources big enough to ensure that their ambitions and aspirations are met. And that's why you get the so many cooperatives that we have today. There's so many institutions that we have belonging to cooperatives attached to them, being the way they are, because those people had aspirations. And they really wanted to pull their resources together so that they can see their children come to be. For Metropolitan, that was formed in the 70s. Right now, the people who are there, I think just the other day, we had a member number, is it 2 or 3? And I can tell you the kind of stories they give you. And those are the people who trained us, who trained the people, let me say the ones who are just before us, to save. And that's why the circle is there. But are we training the same to the people who are younger and people my age and the like?
Yes.
I'm not very sure, because if you remember about what Mr. Kibe talked about in the TVs these days, because that's the first teacher that we have, and the phones, what are kids trying to do? They play games, they are not aware that these games are consuming bundles.
And they're costing money. Yes.
Do they know that?
They don't know.
They don't know. For the tellies, when they look at that big screen that is in your house, and the much that you would want to spend in their shoe, and do they even know the amount of money that you spent to buy them the shoes they are wearing? Do you work with them to know that for you to buy a shoe, you have to go to your bank, get money, and go buy? Do they know that the money that you are earning has to be saved at first? Because for school fees, for example, very few people will have ready school fees unless, number one, you've saved, or number two, you've let your maybe some accumulation, which is more or less saving. So who teaches these kids this education? And that is the same thing that we are doing to, like, for example, the employer that I was talking about yesterday, because these are young people who've been employed. So when you start introducing them to just loans without having to know how much loan do I need to do such a certain thing, what am I telling them? Just go get money, get my 100,000, 50,000, then from there, that guy, I can tell you, will spend that money, and the next day,
there'll be nothing.
There'll be nothing. Then they'll start deserting duties.
Yes.
They'll start leaving their young spouses because they have money. But once money definitely ends, pockets run dry, what are we saying? That they'll go back to their families. Their families will have issues because definitely they must have fights within the family because you're not getting the same salary that you used to get. What you used the money for is not a cash flowing asset, as Bwana Kibe told us. It's you just consumed it, maybe with friends and everything. So the first thing that we do as Metropolitan National Circle is that we would want to have a forum with your people and hear them. Hear their aspirations. We have a number of relationship managers who will take care of those people, and some business development officers who will now take those employees through the motions of why join a circle, not a bank.
Yes.
Because you need to differentiate. There's a circle, there's a bank. What are the benefits of being in a circle? Because a circle like Metropolitan can make you now access your salary if you're being paid, and will equally enable you to save, and not just to save for the sake of it, but equally save in an account that is earning you money. Because whenever you leave your money in your account, even if you're saving and you're thinking you're leaving something in the account, when you'll be distressed because of anything, or a friend comes along, you'll go for that money.
Those things we said rainy days.
Rainy days, exactly. You'll go for your rainy day, and what happens? You start now for spoiling friendships, because mostly what happens is when you lend out that money, getting back that money, it's not very easy. So utachukia rafiki yako, just because of something that you could have avoided by placing it somewhere whereby you're very sure, yes, it's earning you something, you are unable to access it, it will discipline you. Equally now, as you get disciplined, are you able to discipline other people? Because that discipline equally will run in the family. Because what I hear and what I'm told from where I was before is that you as a head of the family was the one who's leading an initiative, because you don't have to be the leader in everything. Correct. You must be leading an initiative from regardless where you are.
Yes.
I was told that the fish starts rotting from the head.
From the head.
Yes. So, for you who's leading this very good initiative, be it the wife or the husband, who is leading the initiative of saving and ensuring that the family's goal is gotten at some point. If you don't do it,
Correct.
Then there's a problem.
there's a problem.
There's a big problem.
So the fish will start rotting from you, who is heading that initiative. So just ensure that for everyone else to follow, then you have to lead. So those are among the things that we've been doing in the circle.
In fact, I'd like to add a point on Mr. Cyrus. Because the focus really today is the mindset. And we just want to bring these things out for viewers to listen, then go make their own decision.
Exactly.
I want you to think about this family. They're about 5. Okay, so the firstborn is a boy or even a girl who's probably in class 7. And then the breadwinner passes on, unfortunately. From your experience, Mike, how do these firstborns end up in the future? Do they become spoiled brats, as we use that word, or do they become responsible? You see, what has happened is the breadwinner is not there. Imagine yourself at class 7, coming back from school to home, finding all these young siblings crying. You know, nature now takes up effect. And you're pushed by nature to be the father,
Yes.
to be the head he's talking about.
Yes.
And therefore, what you see with these people is sort of distancing themselves from the classmates. Why? Because the classmates, everything is still being provided, so they don't fit automatically. They start thinking very differently because at home the reality is very different from these others. So what wakipata 10 shillings, they're thinking of how am I going to capitalize on this to make sure that the young ones, and you find most of these ones that end up dropping out of school. All right? And they try to look for vibarua hapa na pale na nini na nini. And my observation is that these people eventually ends up becoming very comfortable in terms of personal finance management. It was because of that experience. It pushed them to that wall. And as they do that, they try to teach even the young ones who are coming up. Sana sana to last bondoga tunasweva.
Yeah.
Again, it goes back to the mind. So had the breadwinner not passed on, what do you think would have happened to the firstborn? The society will have continued showing them the same thing the classmates were being brought up to see. So it all boils down to what I'm talking about, the mindset. And the most clever people in the world understand that if you want to control people, a nation or anything, just control their minds and that's it. Ukishatengeneza tu mind ifikirie hivi sasa waachilie waende kule wanaenda. They will always be thinking the way you want them to think, and you can take a very big advantage on them on that.
Kibe, I want you kindly to take us back to our first episode.
Yeah.
Where you had a very, very detailed diagram about the mind, the body, the soul, and the way they interconnect.
They all connect.
And the way when we change what we think,
Okay.
and how we attract the things we want.
All right.
Attracting the cat.
You know, because I remember you asked us a question,
Yes.
and here we are all saying, I'll run after the cat.
Yes.
And all we needed to do was just attract the cat to where we are.
Right knowledge.
Right knowledge.
Exactly.
Take us through it.
Yeah. So it all started by, I want you to think about the formula that I talked about. Now, the whole purpose around this program has been creating wealth. And I like the way you emphasize on that. We are not here about richness. Okay, we're here about wealth. Wealth is something you live for your generations. Richness, ukifariki maisha na wewe around that time. So we said money is a commodity that you use for the rest of your life. And if it's something you're going to use for the rest of your life, you can't run away from that. If it's something you have to use till the day you leave this world, then managing it automatically becomes a life skill. So we ask ourselves the next question, how do you develop a skill? So now we are quieting the outside world and what it's trying to teach us or program us, and we want to go inside. And let's listen whether this makes sense. How do you develop a skill? And I asked you, can you pick someone today in the morning, you train them football the whole day, and then you expect them to play Premier League tomorrow or the year after? And everyone's going like, no. So how do you build a skill? So we said skill, we've come up with a formula at Dreamers where we say, you need the right mindset, RM. That's the first thing, because if this is wrong, then the rest won't matter.
So skill is equals to right mindset.
This is the first component of it. The second one is the right knowledge, RK. And then the last one is practice, and they follow each other in this way. Now, when we don't program our children well, hata huku mbele ukiwapatia the right knowledge, the chances of them succeeding or applying this in life becomes difficult because of the subconscious mind. This is why university students believe they know it all. It's because they missed it here. So when I'm speaking to them and someone is telling me, "Kwani hujui pesa wewe?" What do you teach about money? Okay, I can see where they're coming from. Ni hapo, all right? So now, after understanding this formula, and I've said and I'm repeating, quiet the outside world and listen to what you feel based on what I'm talking about. So let's come to the right mindset. Now, before we understand what the right mindset is, we need to understand ourselves. Who are we? And that's the first question I asked. Okay? And I said, you're not your name. You're not anything you might think outside there.
Yes.
Who you are is a reflection of what the scripture tells us. You were created in the image and likeness of God.
God, yes.
God is the creator. So if God is the creator and you're created in his own image and likeness, it means you are a creator.
Yes.
So from today, if someone asks you, who are you? Just say, I'm a creator. Because you are always creating even now.
Something is
It's just that you don't know you're doing it.
Yes.
Even when you're sleeping, you're still creating something. And that's why now the question now becomes, then how do we create? And so I took you to the next step and I said, for you to understand how we create, you need to understand we humans, we are broken up into three parts mainly. So we talked about the soul, we talked about the mind, and we talked about the body. So anything else you can think about can be a derivative of these ones, mainly this. Okay? Now, we went ahead and said, the body will never do anything without instructions from here.
So whatever the body does, instructions come from the mind.
Exactly. It can come from here, but passing through the mind. All right? And remember I told you God is a creator, energy. From a science point of view, everything is energy. Okay? That's why you can walk into a room and you feel you're not welcomed.
Yeah.
It's a feeling. And the same way you'll go and feel like, wow, this place, I feel welcomed. Okay? And what happens now is when kids are born, the mind is blank. There's nothing in it. So anything you see the body doing is a reflection of the
Soul.
So when you're holding that baby, what do you feel?
The love.
Exactly. Because the soul is nothing but love.
Yes.
Okay? It existed before, it existed now. Na siku ile itatoka pia.
It will still exist.
Exactly. And so what happens is, as you start growing, your mind starts getting programmed based on your society beliefs and cultures. True. Now those cultures and beliefs can either align themselves to what the soul is up to, or it can divert. And if it decides to divert, the soul will just sit there. Let me even prove to you that this is true. If you think about the old folks, especially those in hospitals, you know, you're going to see them and you're saying, tunamwombea anaendelea, but things are not looking so well. But exactly. Then over suddenly, ameanza kuongea, ameanza kukula, we're all getting excited, hata anatoka hosi. Have you ever noticed those people do not last?
Yeah. Immediately they are doing so well.
Why?
They do so well for 2 days.
Yeah, but why? The answer is here.
At the soul level.
At all this level here. This is the reason. Alizaliwa, this diverted away from this. So it got to a point where it doesn't listen anymore.
So the mind is not communicating with the soul.
Yes. Simefunzwa vile nafaa ifikiria. So it's not listening to this. This is papasia iwaga to love, experience love, happiness, or what we call the joys of fruit, the Holy Spirit. Sasa ukianza kufunzwa wewe umetoka Africa, you're different from a white person. Kujiambi when you are East Africa, the soul doesn't care. It sees a human. All right? Utoke East Africa uambiwe ni Mkenya, utoke Kenya uambiwe ni Mcentral, utoke Central uambiwe sijue ni wapi. It goes down mpaka kwa familia where you have a parent who has a favorite child. That's the damage we do to ourselves as a society. Because now you're basically moving this away from this. So hii inakuwa manga, let me use the word manga. Saiwezi sikiza hii anymore because of what it's been fed. And remember, you're attracting what you're...
Yes.
Sasa siku ile huwa anataka kutoka, what do you expect this person to do? Na amezoea kosa kusikia.
Ataanza kureconnect.
Atakataa.
So the mind will start now.
It's
a tug of war.
Exactly. And that time tug of war is when now you sit there. You can see it now in the body. It's coming out in terms of what they're going through. But the moment it accepts, because eventually it will have to accept.
There are not two ways.
So when it accepts, that strain ends between this and this. Now strain ikisha zimejialign into one thing. So the body shows that. Ameanza kukula. And these people, if you listen to them carefully, the talks will be around love. Watu wasameheane. Sina ubaya na mtu. Why?
Oh my goodness, this is so true. Yes.
And that's what I'm telling you, all prayers answered. It's just that we don't listen. It's as simple as that. Learn from experience and your life will take off. This experience peke yake imetosha. Right? So that's what normally happens here. Okay, so to take it further into what you're asking, Mike, now we come and ask ourselves, then how do we create? So the way we create is God gave us a tool to use to create whatever it is that we want. And he said he will never interfere with the choices we make in our lives. Because whatever choice you make in your mind is what you're starting to attract to your life.
Say that again. Whatever choice you make in your mind.
Yes, you're starting to attracting it. Okay?
Okay.
And that's why he says, I've given you the free will. That's why the free will is coming in. So do as you want. So the next step that people need to understand is then how does the mind work? Because if this is the tool that you are given to create, why pay so much attention on how you look?
Yeah.
Common sense will tell you then focus should be here. Because if you get this right, itakuja naturally.
So mind.
Yes. And that's what we need now to bring people back. Okay? So these days people believe they are who their body is. Because our society has corrupted our mind to believe makeups and things like these ones, living in a certain place is what defines this. You're not your body. You're not your mind. You are this. All right? So if you break it down now, you come and see. Now you want to understand if this is so powerful. I mean, this is the only thing I have to create whatever I want to. So it should create that thirst of wanting to understand it more. So what it does is it comes and tells you there are two parts that are very conscious for people to understand. So you have the subconscious mind and you have the conscious mind.
Yes.
All right? So the subconscious part is the part that reacts. It's been programmed like a computer. So it doesn't think, it just reacts. Okay? The conscious part is the one that now reasons. Try to make, like now when you're listening to me and you're asking yourself, is this guy making sense? This is the conscious part of your mind. So a lot of people don't realize that these two components exist within this. They just think of the mind as one whole thing. And that's how our mistakes start. So the next step now becomes, you need to understand between the age of 0 and 7, children operate 100% from the subconscious mind. So this part has not evolved.
From 0 to 7 years.
7 years. And how does this subconscious learn? Through observations, through feelings. Mtoto nimekwambia sana sana, he goes with the feeling. Feeling is the language of the soul. That's why initially I told you the best way that God talks to all of us equally, irrespective of your religion, is through the soul. Listen at how you feel. And that's why things like meditation in the right way, people are trying to reconnect with this. Okay? So this child now, ndo ataingia mahali akwambia hataki kusalimia mtu, and you're going to judge them. But if you dig inside that person, you'll realize there's like a history. Huyu jamaa si mzuri mahali. They're trusting, they're letting their feelings come out because the mind has not been taught to hate. So why is this child denying this person? Mbona kila saa ataki kumwona?
Doesn't run to that person.
I had to let one of my, house manager go because of that. 4 months, na bado wasikizani na mtoto.
Something was wrong.
Yeah, but how many people pay attention to that? All right? So it's about all this. So at this point now, the child is picking the fundamentals of their thought process as adults in every area of their lives. Whatever it is that they're observing around them and seeing, you're starting to build a foundation. So as a parent, it's very important to understand this part. Now, just to show you how lost we are as a society, mtu ameenda paternity or maternity leave, amepata mtoto. After how long do they go back to work?
Well, for
14
paternity, 14
days for paternity, 3 months.
And what do you normally do? Unapiga nyumbani, nitafutieni mtu wa kazi. I need a house manager, okay? Unaletewa mtu ujui. Just because you made a phone call. Now you go back to work and you leave this child with who?
My goodness, a very critical moment.
Thank you.
0 to 7.
Then ukikuja akifika 3 years anakwambia kwenda huko. Na alikufunza hivyo? It is you the parent by bringing someone who you've not taken time to understand. Because if you understand the power of this, you'll be very careful about the person you bring in to watch your child. Last year, but one, I paid a house manager a lot of money, and people thought I was crazy. When people were celebrating Heroes Wawa, Sujuded and Kemathi in Heroes Day, she was my hero. Because since my daughter was born, she was taking care of her, and every time I would come in the house, I'd see she's happy. So to me, she was really my hero because I understand the power of this. All right? Now, so after this, what happens is...
So 0 to 7 is the subconscious.
Yes, subconscious.
Yes.
Okay, so it's the part that just reacts. So you're building those foundations in all aspects of life. We are not just talking about money. Every foundation you can think about, any life skill, communication, all that, social, you name it.
Love, hatred,
exactly, everything that you're exposing that child to is starting to form a foundation of how they'll be as adults. Now the problem with this thing is because you never see it. All right?
Yes.
So once you get above 7, this drops to 95%, and this takes up 5%. So as an adult, if you do not even appreciate the power of your mind, look at how blind you become. So
the
this
subconscious is at 95%.
And this 95 came from where? It came from the first 7 years of your life.
Yes.
So if you don't even know how powerful the mind is, how will you even know this thing exists? And that's why I kept telling you, people go to these personal finance classes and they pay a lot of money and they get excited. Why are they getting excited? It's the conscious, because it's picking up these subjects or topics which are being taught. So when it comes to the practice, they go outside, they try to apply these things, and within 2-3 months, they've given up. Why? It's because it was the 5% coming to fight what?
95.
What do you expect? So this 95 has built up a wall, because it starts like this as a child. So let's take money.
Yes.
So I've seen my dad bring in money in the house. Okay? So money is for spending. The second time, like that. Third time, tumeenda dukani. So every time, watching, spending. TV, whatever. So let's assume this is what builds up in the first 7 years. Right? So this was 100%. Yeah? Now, after 7 years, we say it drops to, let's say, 95%. So the foundation of money to this child is money is for spending. Hakuna kitu ingine.
Because we get it and spend it.
That's what they've exposed them to. All right? So, because the schools don't teach these things, the child goes ahead with school, akimaliza university apate kazi, si anaanza kulipwa. So this is where now the 5% comes in. And that's why most people who start working ends up wasting a lot of money. Before they realize it, it's because they are not exposed to other aspects about money, investments and things like those. So they just know spending. Apatas jongeza celebrities, because now that brings another element.
Who are flossing left, right, and center.
If you don't drive a V8, then you're not wealthy.
Something is wrong.
So we let the outside society control this. So when this person now decides, I've had enough of these troubles, I think I'm just poor in personal finance, let me look for a course I can attend to. So they go for it. All right?
Yes.
So they've come out, they're so psyched up. It's the 5%, but they don't realize it's only
5%
of the total mind. They do not see this 95, which is just telling them, kujeni niwaonyeshe kene mimi pia nimefunzwa kutoka niwe mdogo. So you've gone for a course of what, 3 months, and then you expect you're going to beat something that has been with you for 35 years in 1 month.
My goodness.
So what happens is, once you start applying the things you've learned here, basically you're starting now to chip off this pole, and you're replacing it with the newfound knowledge. But what happens is people try for some time here, then they give up.
Yes.
But they give up because they don't understand that they're actually making progress. It's only that it's not something visible. So when you give up, basically what happens? This goes back to where it was, or even worse.
Wow.
Because when you give up, it means you stop applying what you've learned here. That's why now you go back to who you are. Spending, so this continues building up.
Builds back again to now bad habits. All
yes. That. What you're trying to fight in the first place. The choice is two. You continue applying what you've learned until you replace this one with this blue. Failure to that, the green will always take over. The choice is yours.
Because this is where now my mind starts shifting again. So here I am.
Yeah.
I have a small child.
Yes.
Within the age bracket.
Yeah.
I have personally, I've gone through all this subconscious being corrupted and everything, knowing that once I get money at the end of the month, mine is to pay bills, do this, do that.
Yeah.
And lafu mwisho ya kila kitu, niambie mwili pole.
Yes.
You know, we go.
Exactly.
Console it. You just give yourself a pat on the back. You know, then how am I as a parent, how am I able now to train up now my child?
Okay. Let me put it in the simplest way I can put it. If you want your child not to go through whatever most adults go through, all right? From that young age, simulate how the real world works. Simple as that. But because they're children, you know, we've been conditioned to believe money is also something, it's evil. We've put all these tags around it. Make it fun, and you'll be surprised. Simulate how the real world works, and then, like now, let me tell you another example I'm doing with my daughter.
Yes.
So I've told her, how old are you? I'm 3.5. Okay, your next birthday will be? I'll be 4 years. Good. What do you want? Mtoto kimuuliza wataka nini atafanyaje? They get excited. All right, so let's write down what you need. Come, nachukua kalamu tunakaa naye chini. I know if I ride bike hatajua ni nini, but that's the process. That's how they learn. All right? So you want a bicycle? Okay, let's ride bike. Do you know how much it is? She doesn't know how much, so I'll say, okay, it's X. What else do you want? Cake. So we write down. Okay, so I come up with a list. So I know as a parent, I need to budget for this amount of money.
Yes.
So what do I start doing? The first day I can take her, let's say, to Tuskys or Naivas. And I tell her, which cake would you like us to buy for your birthday? She'll go and point a pink one. I'm like, wow, how much is it? Okay, count the numbers. So she'll tell me, I can see 4. What's the number? Next, 5. And the other one, 0. The other one, yes. So in the process, I'm ensuring that the numbers are still there. So I go to the house, I'll tell her the cake was 4500, like that, okay? Then I start telling her, now let's start working towards buying your birthday things. So like now this coming weekend, we're traveling up country. So I'll tell her, when you go there, we will get some good money for your cake. So tukienda kule, hata nimwambia fanye kitu, she'll do it because she knows out of this.
Her cake is somewhere here in this.
Exactly. So when we come back home, I'll remove the money and I'll tell her this big note, this is 1. This is 2. Next time we go to see grandpa, we'll get others. So the moment we get to 4, 5, I tell her now pick your piggy bank, let's go to the supermarket. So when you go to the supermarket, I tell her pay for your cake. So she pays, she gets the receipt. I'm like, okay, we'll come it for a certain date. So we knock off this.
So cake done.
Yes, now let's go to the next one. You make it fun. So on the last time, we'll just go to the supermarket and like now we need our things for the birthday. Of course, I know for age right now, people like that, I know that. But I know I'm starting to program in her mind. But think of doing this now to a 5-year-old or 6-year-old kid.
Because remember you said it's 0 to 7. So this is a blank page.
Exactly. It's what you're molding there. It's what you're planting. Okay? Let's go back to Proverbs 22. Show
Train
the
up a
child
child
there.
on the ways that they should go.
Aha.
And they will, when they grow up, they'll never depart from
Exactly. So this is an exercise we do with all our students. We tell parents this is something you need to do. Because at the end of the day, whether you like it or not, you're going to spend this money. So why don't you make this journey a learning lesson on for them? Right? So this one now, it started to make sense why I need to open an account for them, with them for my daughter. Right? Instead of keeping all this started to make sense. All right? So imagine that kid on that day picking the bike at the supermarket. Imagine that excitement. Do you think she'll come home and say, my dad bought me this? What will she say?
I bought a bike.
I.
Yes.
I. There's power in I. I did it.
So from this tender age, you're training her
You
to
are
start setting goals.
simulating how the real world works. Where kuna mtu kupatia pesa, varsity that. Is there someone who comes and tells you it's your birthday, chukua? Halafu. But now you tweak it in a way that in their level they can understand and have fun with it. But I'm telling you, the foundation you're setting there is purely independent. Akifika 10 years, there is no way they'll ever go wrong with this. Because you've taught a lot of things. You've taught them how to budget, working towards money, saving towards a specific goal by a certain time. All those things I've been talking about.
And here we are. I know there's something you're working with Andrew when it comes to kids. There's something an online course you've been working together to bring kids on board and everything. And I think you're still on it. So question is, at this point, what made you think to go back to the youth? What made you think to go back to these young people? Let's now stop focusing on their parents. Let's focus on these young ones, on matters budgeting and finance and matters how to use the money. Given the fact that currently they don't have any, they are using ours. But what prompted you to start thinking as Metropolitan National Circle to take this route on training the kids?
Thank you, Mike, for that. And I think when you see me smiling, when Andrew takes me back to some very good lessons that I think I didn't recognize them by then. I've just remembered, and I come from a coffee growing area.
Yes.
And it was not easy, because even when you don't want to go to go pick coffee and the like, your parents make it a must.
You have to.
And I've just remembered that my father, I remember a time that we went with my father to a SACCO to collect a check so that I can go back to school. So I've just remembered there's some lessons I think that there are things that you might take for granted. So just taking a receipt to your kid in the house that you've paid school fees doesn't mean much. You need to show that kid
The process.
how exactly. Because I've just remembered right now that there was a SACCO somewhere whereby we went and picked a check, then I was able to go back to school. So every other time that you remember about school and about payment of school, you remember about the coffee that you have to. So you've already been paid, and that more or less puts a culture in you that you have to work. You have to work for you to get money. And that is how I think that was just something that has taken me back to things that I've forgotten. And I didn't know that maybe the parents maybe did that either consciously or unconsciously, but right now, maybe that's maybe the reason as to why maybe we are the way we are right now.
What?
Yes.
You are heading a SACCO.
Correct.
The lessons,
really
the untold
taken
lessons that, you know, the untold lessons that you went through.
Yeah.
You know, it's just occurred to you that you saw the process. You know, you've been told, wake up early, pick the coffee, take it to the, you know, to the
factory,
center, to the factory and everything.
Yeah.
You know, it's a tedious process.
It is.
You know,
It
you want to play with the other kids, probably who don't have coffee at their home, and they have a lot of time. But your father has to make you go through this. And I think that's what, Andrew, you're telling us.
Yes.
Let that kid really, you know, simulation.
Simulate how the real world works, but also don't forget the children. So balance, and that's why I brought the element of fun.
Yes.
You know, when you bring fun into it, like now for his example, it wasn't fun. I'm telling you, if you see me with my daughter, you'll think we are crazy. I stopped becoming an adult. I go to an age. Kama ni kuruka kwa viti, let's do all those things kids do, but let it be fun for her. But in the process, I'm instilling something I know in the future.
It will be something big.
Yes.
And I know, like I'd asked, you have now this process that you recently started.
Yeah.
How has it been going? What is the response when you know you're teaching and training these young people on how to handle money matters?
Thank you for that. And I think the much appreciation that we have as Metropolitan National SACCO, I was briefly reflecting on when you talk about the soul of a human body, that equally for an institution, there is a soul. And I like the example that you gave in terms of how you think that when you're a human body, you think about you are an African, you are an East African,
Yes.
you are
White,
Kenyan,
black.
you're from Western Kenya, you're from Luyaland, you're from a place called what?
It's broken.
Butere, and the like. And I think I like the way Metropolitan National SACCO, and as you hear us calling ourselves national, is because we've done it the reverse way. We have the soul, the love, and we have members from every other place. And what we've done deliberately is to ensure that we have products that will suit all these people because of the love that we have. And we appreciate that when we talk about people, you don't just talk about the adults. Because equally, why do you always pray that you have offsprings? So that they can take care of the world and serve people better. When you get old, you have the young ones. So if you don't take care of the young ones and think about them, how will be your tomorrow? Your tomorrow is not guaranteed without having some offsprings today.
Yes.
So we thought about Metro, and we saw there's a very big gap. As he's saying, when you look at taking this education to the schools, how many people attend? Are we able now to tell the members right now who are there that their kids equally need this education? they've brought up these kids. If you get some of the stories that are very hearty and touchy at the same time, you hear about a kid who has schooled, who has built a house, who has maybe even gotten some land through the circle. Some very good stories. But are the kids learning? So we need to support these parents equally to ensure that their kids equally now learn about how to join the circle and to grow. As I told you earlier, we have a difference between why do you join a circle and any other financial institution. There's a very big difference. Then, when you look at the mini circles that we have, why join Metro? Do we have customized? When I talked about the example that I was giving before, in terms of these young people who've come to employment, because you get more or less into employment at some very early age, because you get to yourself at 20s. Or even there are those who get immediately after high school, you get into employment. And you know, just before then, you have the 7 years of the subconscious.
Yes.
Get to what you learned from the society, which is spending, and you hear who've been employed. You have a financial institution that has come to you and telling you that you can qualify for 200,000.
Yes.
No training whatsoever. The culture, the mindset that you have is towards what? Just using money. So at first, what do you get? You get yourself some very good, an old model of some vehicle somewhere.
I got me a Volkswagen.
A Volkswagen.
It costed me more to refurbish it.
Or a blue Subaru. A blue Subaru. And what that means is that now from there henceforth, even your parents start getting worried about the kind of a kid that they brought. And we decided that we would want to get into that gap, to fill in that gap, to support our very dear members who've supported this circle since we started, the circle started in the 70s, and walking them through this journey so that they're equally proud of the people that they brought, using the much funds that they had saved with the circle, with the loans that they got from the circle, and brought these kids up who need now to get this education about money and how to use money, and not just about money. Creating what? Wealth. Because our riches are up there.
True.
So that's a critical thing that we looked at, and the need to ensure that our members, kids, are well educated and well shown as to how do we use money. How do we use money? Because you need money, but how to use it is what matters at the end of the day. Yes.
And questions are coming in fast and furious. I have Mashare Kihara who says, is it wise to let your kid know when you're in financial quagmire? If it's a consistent excuse or fact, can it affect them psychologically? Do I need to start sitting down my family and more so my children and tell them, look, we have debtors. If you see people coming collecting our TV tomorrow, just know those are called auctioneers. This is what is going on.
Good. That's a very good question, and I really like it. Now, what you do is, depending on the age where they are, you start by making it fun. Start with things which you know they're really going to enjoy even as you go through that process. And as you continue like that, you start building up, adding more and more. Now, you just won't wake up one day and pop auctioneers at your house. It's something that takes time.
It's a process, yes.
So as a parent, you know it's coming. So what you can start prompting their minds is, you know, a good example will be like, you want to do this and you don't have money. As a parent, let me start teaching you what borrowing is about. So I'm going to purchase that thing for you. I'm going to give you the money, but you'll have to return it to me with the interest. But make it fun. The point where we go wrong is we bring that strictness that, you know, get
so strict, yes.
Exactly. You can even encourage them to save half. You can even tell them, if you're able to save up to, let's say, 5,000, I'll top it up for you. Things like those ones, okay? Now, as you continue building up these topics around money, you shouldn't leave some out. So if you start seeing that is coming, and you're not introduced the concept of borrowing, you can start doing at that point. So you can even tell the child, I'd like to borrow some of the money you have, and I'll refund by Friday. Then Friday tell her, things have not really worked out for me, I'll see what I can do next week. And then you start explaining there are times things happen and people lose money, you get? So you start introducing it slowly. In the event that by things are really getting so bad on the other end, it's not going to be a shock as such, because they've gone through a process in a way that now if you start explaining what has happened, they can connect or they can see a relevance that is simulated in their lives. All right? And that brings me, there's a diagram, I believe I wrote it. I want to show you the problem with having the wrong knowledge and how it damages us. There's a day, I think I gave you an example. This is an estate. This is a gate, yeah?
Yes.
And this guy comes, drives in and goes into the driveway. So this is the compound for the house. So he parks the car here. It's at night. He walks to the house, very tired and exhausted, and he just wants to eat and sleep. But he's left the food inside the house. It was a takeaway. So he's seated there, ameshika ufunguo ya gari anazungusha hivi. So watching TV, let's say on this other end, and then pop, blackout. So in the blackout, ile kustuka, the keys fly off the finger and they fall down somewhere. So anaamka anaanza kutafuta, natafuta, he started to get annoyed. Then he says, let me go sleep. Then he remembers I've not eaten. Na chakula iko kwa gari. So I need to continue looking for
the key.
But he's getting frustrated, you get? So he's looking at atafuta ufunguo kuna. Then he stands and he's looking this end. Sasa hapa ni barabara imekuja, okay? On this road, you have street lights which are on. So by facing this side through the window, he can see the street lights are on. So what does the mind trigger him to do? He thinks of an idea. He comes out of the house, comes down here and starts looking for the car keys here. How does that sound to you?
He was in the house,
Yes.
but the street lights are outside.
Yes.
There's a blackout in the house.
Yes.
So the street lights are outside. So he gets out of the house to look for the car keys outside
Here.
where there's light.
Yes. So my question is, how does that sound to you?
It sounds quite silly. I mean,
Sounds silly, eh? Cyrus? How
I'm
does that
thinking-
sound to you?
Not sensical, I think.
Okay, not sensical, yeah?
Actually, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense, isn't it? Now, a neighbor happens to be passing by. And he meets you, Mike. Hey, Mike.
what's going on?
Ninaendelea nimepoteza ufungu zangu za gari, ndakusaidia cha tutafute na wewe. So you are two of you now looking for
For the car keys.
okay?
Yes.
So you look, Cyrus naye anatoka huku. He comes with the car, he parks here, then he comes, hey, what are you guys doing? So now we are three. Now look at what happens. This is what I'm calling the wrong knowledge. The
You've
fourth
dragged
neighbor,
other
the
people.
five neighbor, it gets to a point now we forget even what we were looking for. We are all consumed here. But where are the car keys?
In the house.
In the house.
Learn to go within.
Deep within.
Yes. So if you ask them, na uko sure umeangusha hii gari hapa, what he's going to say is, no, I didn't say here. So everyone now stands, what do you mean?
Tumeshinda
Uliangusha wapi
kutafuta hizi vitu
ufunguo?
hapa.
Si kwa nyumba. And everyone laughs, others get angry. You've kept us here looking at all this, yet the car keys are here. And then he answers and says, it doesn't make sense to look for something in the dark when there's light outside here.
Oh my
But
goodness.
isn't that what we do with our lives? Anytime you feel you're going through pain, whether it's money or, where do we go look for solutions?
Away from where the...
Thank you.
You know, we can actually just wind up there. mpaka nimechoka. You know, because I'm thinking, this guy, bana, you left the house.
Yes.
That's where the problem is.
Exactly.
You took it out.
Yes.
And you actually invited a whole lot of others.
Yes. The whole world. Wrong knowledge.
Yeah? To come and look for khakis that are in the house.
All the village is there.
The whole village is there.
Now, bring in the quote I ended with last time. When you change the way you look at things,
The things you look at
can you see it?
change.
Yes.
I'm told we have to wind up as you say kwaheri tonight. And don't make us look for the khakis.
Hey, Mike. Hey, this guy
Yeah.
called Andrew. Yeah. It might make many people look like what you've been doing all the way. He's looking for the khakis out there.
I'm telling you, I even know who has made me look for his khakis and the party.
And I think that's why it's very critical that when you're looking for example, if you would want to pray, I think we go to church. And there's a reason as to why that is the case.
Yes.
You don't go to the wilderness per se. And I think the Spirit, as he's talked about it, we've been given, there are the several gifts that are given by the Holy Spirit, so that in every other field, there's someone who is very good in exhaustive matters. There's someone who is very good in, for example, nobody can just administer maybe a wedding or a marriage.
Yes.
Even by law. That's why when it comes to money matters, I think we'll tell you that if you want the experts who are around,
Yes.
and the experts who are around and who you can access anytime, get to Metropolitan National Circle.
Oh, yes.
Because money matters is our matter. That is where our soul, not our body,
The soul.
the soul, that is where our soul is.
Yes.
And our soul is all about love for prosperity and ensuring that you build some very good wealth as you await your riches up there in our Father's house.
So the wealth is here.
The
The riches
riches.
are up there.
Exactly.
So we work on the wealth here.
Exactly.
Good stuff. Andrew, as we say good night, I mean, you always make it end on a very high note.
Okay. So my concluding remarks will be as follows. Today we've really emphasized on the importance of the mind. And what I want you to understand is this. If you believe it's going to work, you're going to see opportunities. If you believe it's not going to work, you're going to see obstacles. The decision is yours.
Oh my. I cannot add anything more from that. If you believe it's going to work, then you'll see opportunities. If you believe it cannot work, then automatically you'll start seeing obstacles. Thank you,
The
gentlemen.
decision is
The decision is yours. Do you believe it can work, or do you believe it cannot work? The decision is yours. And that's why we're here on Metro Business Cafe, to just talk and brainstorm and just have these one-on-ones where you ask us questions, and we have a team of experts who have researched and who have sat down to just have this kind of topic for you, our viewer. Remember, you can talk to us on 0790 000 333, 0790 000 333. That is our SMS line. You can also send us a WhatsApp on the same line if you'd like to ask any question from our experts who have every Thursday from 7 to 9 p.m. My name is Michael Njenga. Good night and God bless.